What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today, this is my first reading Recs sent by you video. This is a series that I came up with for 2021 and you can watch the announcement video here if you don't know what I'm talking about. But in reality, you as a subscriber, you get to send a video to me and tell me what book you think that I should read. So you literally are sending me a recommendation like in video form and then I watch it and I'm gonna watch it live right now. I actually have one sent by my friend Penny and so we're gonna watch it together and then I get to actually get the book and read the book all in this vlog. That's really exciting. So if you want to do it, definitely check that link down below so that way you can figure out exactly like where to send it to, what to send, and yeah, you might be featured on my channel. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Penny's video. This is Penny. She's one of my friends in my book club and we're gonna watch it together and see what she's recommending me. I literally have no clue because I did not watch it. I on purpose saved these so that way I can like watch them live. And she's the only recommendation I've gotten so far, so that's why I didn't do a random generator on choosing. So make sure you send me those videos so that way I can keep doing this.
Hey Jackie, I have a recommendation for you. I heard you say earlier in your book haul that it sounds like you're in the year of cults and memoirs. So I have the perfect book. I think you'll love it. Member of the Family. It's a memoir of Diane Lake. She was part of Charles Manson's cult, and it talks about her life from a child on up to how she and her family got involved and what went on within the cult. I think you'll really like it.
Oh my gosh, that actually sounds so amazing. I'm going to look it up right now to see if I can get it at any of my libraries. So you guys know I love like nonfiction memoirs. They're one of the most interesting books I feel like to read. And then I also am still in like a whole cult type of vibe. I don't know what it is about cults. I guess it's just like the process of like how people are brainwashed and like I don't know how they just like follow blindly, you know? So let's go ahead and we're gonna look up this to see if I can get my hands on a copy soon. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. I actually haven't read anything yet in 2021, like as of filming this. Maybe this will be my first book I could read, who knows? Also, I wanna thank you, Penny, for sending me the video, and that is a fantastic recommendation. So let me look it up right now. It's called Member of the Family by Diana Lake, and I'm gonna hit one to read on here. And it says, my story of Charles Manson, life inside his cult, and the darkness that ended the 60s. So it is, yeah, nonfiction, true crime. It looks like a lot of my friends really liked it. Penny gave it 5 stars. Wow. Okay, so good news. My library does have it, or I should say my old library, because my old library is amazing. So what I'm going to do is I put it on hold and I think it'll come in tomorrow. So I think we'll be able to go and pick it up tomorrow and then I can start reading it. I'm so excited. This is gonna be so great. Oh my gosh, a cult book. Ah! Whew. All right, you guys, get that off. Guess what I just picked up? Here it is. Member of the Family, my story of Charles Manson, life inside his cult, and the darkness that ended the 60s. At age 14, I became one of Charles Manson's girls. At 17, I helped put him in prison. This is my story. It sounds so good. There is no doubt that Charlie took advantage of me. Oh my gosh, okay, Penny. And it even has pictures, you guys should know from The Sound of Gravel. I love like reading memoirs that have pictures in them. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to read this. Oh man, okay, I need to finish up some errands and stuff that I am running. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll start it tonight. I'm not sure, but I'm so excited. So I started reading Member of the Family and I am only 21 pages in because I just started it. But guys, I am obsessed. It is so good already. I think that I'm going to really like it. I don't want to like jinx myself, but just the way that it's written is very interesting, easy to read. Like, it doesn't feel like a nonfiction book. It feels just like someone telling their story, and I love that. It's also super interesting. So the lady that wrote it, Diane, she first starts out with her like beginning story of her life. So it talks about like her mom and dad, and then she has 2 younger siblings, and she took care of her siblings a lot of the time, and her dad would get like in really weird funks and stuff like that. The chapter that I just read, her dad decides to like just, it's kind of like sell, but not really sell. It was like trading their house for a trailer with like all of their belongings in it and everything, because they wanted to move to California so that way her dad could become an artist. And turns out that like backfired on them for a little bit. So her dad recently met these people that own an art gallery, and they decided to like hire him as an artist and like even give him a studio and a small house for the family to live at, because like their living area was just like so bad from being in the trailer. So that's where I currently am, and I will make sure that I don't give any spoilers like for the rest of the book, like once I get further in, because that was literally just the first 20 pages. But this is not a spoiler vlog, so I will make sure that I keep everything kind of vague after this. But I just wanted to like show you guys kind of like where it starts, because it doesn't start just with Charles Manson stuff. It's kind of like talking about kind of like how her life was messed up before that, and her dad was kind of like really controlling and even like would hit her mom at times. So I can see why she would kind of like become part of a cult, if that makes sense. Hello, so I am on break at work, and I just made this plate. Most of it is from my house because I'm doing like Whole30, so I can't have a lot of like bad oils and sugars and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, chicken apple sausage and potato salad and an avocado with some Cholula on it. So I'm gonna eat that, and my break is 30 minutes, so I'm going to read more of Member of the Family. And I actually got to page, I think like 65 last night. I was falling asleep though. But I am loving it. I don't know, like I know it's really, I don't want to say bad, but like I don't want to jinx myself, but I really think that this book is going to be 5 stars. Like I am loving it. Like I am loving the story, and I want to savor it so much, just because I just feel like every single chapter is so good. And it is talking about like the 70s, I think. She just moved to California now, and her parents are like really turning into hippies, and so is she, and they're like smoking marijuana all the time, and like not really taking care of her like younger siblings. Like she had to take care of a lot of them, but they have these like really big like dance parties like out in the field, and like everything you hear about like, you know, kind of how like cults are, or like the 70s, it's like true. Like I don't think I've ever read a nonfiction book about the 70s. I've just seen it like in movies and stuff, and you always just think that that's kind of like a little fabricated, but yeah, it's so true. And I feel like now I'm in like a 70s vibe, because when I woke up this morning, I was like listening to 70s music, and even like yesterday I was listening to 70s music, and like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm like transporting myself like back into time, so that way I can like feel everything from this book. And I haven't even gotten to the Charles Manson part, but it's still so good. So I'm going to eat my food and then read a little bit of the book, and then I want to definitely like read more, hopefully when I get home tonight. I get off at 7. But yeah, I am loving it so much. So Penny, like this was such a good recommendation. Like you should have told me about this a long time ago. Whoops, forget everything I just said about the 70s. It's actually the 60s, because it was in 1967. So like, you know, late 60s, kind of the 70s, whatever. It's all the same. I'll listen to 60s and 70s music just to be sure I'm fitting the atmosphere. morning, you guys. I'm headed into work. It is 9 o'clock. I'm doing brunch today, and I wanted to, well, obviously it's snowing, which I had no clue it was gonna snow today. So let's hope that I can still get home later. I mean, I literally could walk home if I wanted to. It would take me a little bit, probably like 40 minutes, but I don't live that far away now from my job. But I read up to 100 pages of Member of the Family, and I am still obsessed. It is so good. I think it's gonna be one of my favorite nonfiction memoirs. I just love it. I love how dark it is. I love how crazy people were in the 60s. I love reading about like all of the acid trips. I guess it just like shocks me that people live that way, because they obviously, I mean, I guess some people do live that way now, but from the life that we're growing up in, it's like so different. Sorry, I'm walking up all of these millions of steps, and I am not an in shape person, but yeah, I'm gonna work till 5:30 today. I'll probably read some on my break. I brought the book along, and then I want to try maybe finish it tonight, either tonight or tomorrow night, because I work the same shift tomorrow. So I have been reading for the last hour or so. I am on page 148, and I have gotten to part 2, which finally Diane has met Charles Manson and is like with Charles Manson. The first like 100 and I would say like 20-ish pages were about like her beginning time of her life, and then now she's at the age of 14 and became part of like Charles Manson's family, which essentially means, because like he, in the book it says that like he wanted to be a pimp, and so he has like, I think it's like 5 or 6 other girls that they were all kind of like in the same predicament as Diane, where you don't really have any family, your family didn't like you, gave you up, whatever it might be, and he kind of like rescues them. One of my resolutions for the new year was to kind of like write reading notes for each book I read in my bullet journal. I actually have a video about me setting it up for the new year, which you can check out right here. But I started, since this is the first book I'm reading this year, I started a little page with some notes, so that way while I'm reading I can kind of like write down things that I'm gonna like write in my review, or things that I wanted to like talk about even on here, because I might be like in the middle of reading and I don't necessarily want to like film at the moment just to mention one thing, if that makes sense. I will say that this book does have a lot of like sexual assault in it, so definitely like look up the trigger warnings, because it is a very, very dark book. And then something on page 135 that I wanted to, sorry, I don't want to lose my page, but on page 135 Charlie was talking about how like a wise old pimp gave him the 3 secrets to keeping women loyal and malleable. And it said that the foundations, the first one was the use of fear and intimidation. The second is becoming the greatest lover in the girl's life, satisfying her like no one else can. And the final one, and most important, was making the girl feel fully loved. So like this is what Charles Manson is doing like with these girls. Like he's trying to like just build this like almost like cult following, because back in the 60s like everything is about like communes and like, you know, breaking away from the barriers and like stuff like that. And so he's kind of like creating his own thing, and it's, I don't know, this is what I love about reading like cult books. It's just like people's minds, like how, I guess it's like kind of showing how each girl, what she went through and why she would like listen to Charlie and like, you know, look at him and be like, okay, I'm gonna go with him. Like, I know nothing about him, but I'm gonna follow him, you know? And that's what always is confusing to me about people that like join cults and stuff. It's like, didn't you know that these people were crazy, you know? But it's kind of giving me a little insight on that. So I am very much enjoying this book, and I do like the notes that I'm writing so far. I feel really proud of myself because I'm usually not like a huge note keeper, and I don't like to annotate books, and like this book is from the library, so obviously I'm not annotating it. But I do want to say that it like really makes me feel kind of like upset for Diane, because she's mentioned many times how her family just like abandons her, and how like all she wishes is to like go back to the days when like they had a decent house and they would eat like family dinners and her parents didn't like get high all the time. And it is like, you can see throughout the book just how like her parents, I mean her dad has kind of always been the same, but just like how this, I guess it's the area because they are in California, but also the time period. I feel really bad for like Diane and the other girls that, you know, like their parents are just like all on like LSD and like tripping all the time, and like all they want to do is all be like hippies together and like, yeah, love everybody and like all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's really weird to me. Like I do feel bad because Diane spent her whole life, or like, well, I shouldn't say her whole life, she's 14 at the moment, but she's just spending a lot of time like just trying to like win her family's approval, or win somebody's approval, or be important to somebody. And so I guess that's the thing, like with cults and stuff like that, like they kind of feed on like the weak, if that makes sense. Like they feed on the people that like need that like strong connection. I guess that's what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I am going to continue reading, and I did look at some of the pictures before, but I stopped looking at them, like kind of where I got to the point in the story. But yeah, it's like really crazy. Let me show you some of the pictures. Okay, so like she has like when she was a baby, and this is her sister and brother. And then this is her mom, and that's again her siblings. And like they used to like live in like a house, and like this is when some of the commune people started coming around, and then they made this like crazy newsletter thing. But yeah, so like you see all these pictures that, because they just start kind of like becoming part of so many like cults and communes and stuff. So it is pretty crazy. This is like kind of where I am now. So yeah, super funny. This is her, and she like loved school, and her parents like took her out of school, and they lived in this little bread truck and stuff. Hello. So I am going to be finishing Member of the Family today because it is my day off, and I'm doing like a social detox. I'm doing a social detox. So I'm like not gonna be on my phone. I'm just gonna be like relaxing, reading, that type of thing. So I'm really excited. It is 11 o'clock and I'm at page 229. So I am a little over halfway. I have this much left, and I wanted to like read this one passage because it's not like a spoiler or anything, but I just wanted to just show you guys like how crazy Charlie is, and just like, I don't know. I just don't understand how he has this like control over people. So Diane's telling the story about how in late June, this young girl named Ruth and her father Dean had like joined the family. But he actually had met them back in 1967 when he was hitchhiking and her father had picked him up. At that time, Dean was a minister, and he had no idea that Charlie would turn everything around on him. So anyway, after that ride, Charlie had sex with the daughter and cast his spell. He didn't even try to hide it from Dean, who became so enraged he threatened to kill Charlie. While Dean flew out of control, Charlie made secret plans with Ruth Ann for her to marry someone else, definitely not Charlie, whom she would then leave for Charlie. Like so many of Charlie's ideas, somehow this struck her as a good one because that's exactly what she did. In the meantime, Charlie, probably in an effort to avoid being killed by an irate father, turned Dean onto LSD. I have no direct idea what Charlie said to Dean while he took his first LSD trip, but afterward, not only were they friends, but Dean became so enamored with Charlie and LSD that he left his wife to pursue higher consciousness. Ruth Ann left her husband, thinking it made her legal, and she and her father showed up at Dennis Wilson's to reunite with Charlie. Although I didn't personally see it, people say that when Dean showed up, he bent down to kiss Charlie's feet, which must have made a huge impression on Dennis. So it's like, how, like if I met Charlie, why would I listen to him telling me to like, you know, marry somebody and then like leave? And I don't know, like, are there actually people in the world that have this type of like spell on people that like they can just say anything and people will listen? It's just crazy to me. I don't know. So Diane is finally explaining kind of like what it kind of feels like to be in a cult. So this is a direct quote from the book. It says, "But that's what it means to be in a cult. You lose a part of yourself to someone else or to a group so that your entire mind no longer belongs to you. If you are fortunate, as I was, it all comes back eventually and you realize just how disconnected you've become, how far you would have to travel before you could reconnect with yourself, and how close you'd come to losing it all for good. There are no obvious analogies to what it's like when someone has that kind of hold over you. It's not necessarily idolatry or worship, that's too simplistic. You simply have an unwavering faith that the person has a power that no one else on earth can possibly know or wield. And when you look at someone and honestly believe that that person is related to God, and that person looks at you and tells you that you're special and that you matter, it gives that person a power over you that's unlike any other. The feeling is impossible to describe, and thankfully it's impossible for me to recreate it. The fact that drugs were heavily involved in my belief that he was Jesus doesn't make it any easier to dismiss, because it wasn't as though I stopped believing this when I wasn't high. The acid may have amplified my feelings, but it didn't create them. Charlie was growing more grandiose by the moment, and I siphoned that newfound energy into what I felt like faith. Today, as a church-going woman who has been a faithful Christian for decades, I find it hard to admit this to myself, let alone admit it to the world, but this was how I felt in that moment all those years ago." So it's actually kind of funny that she brings up how she's a faithful Christian now, because I think I was talking to one of my friends like a couple months ago, and we were talking about how it seems that people that are like in cults seem to kind of gravitate towards religion. You know, like you hear of Christians that are just like pretty much like just super obsessed, but not in a good way, almost just obsessed in like a bad way. A lot of people think that like religion is what is making these people like be obsessed or be crazy or do crazy things, because you know how like there's psychopaths that will like murder people and they'll be like, oh, I'm doing it in the name of the Lord and stuff like that. Well, it's not necessarily the religion, it's the fact that people that fall into cults are the type of people that also can easily fall into a religion. So it's funny that she says that like, yeah, she's a faithful Christian, because that's actually not surprising, because she is the kind of person that needs to like kind of believe in something and like follow something like she needs that in her life, and the cult was just like the first thing that she found before she found being Christian, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Let's just all get theological right now. Also, I kept reading, and this is also pretty powerful. It says, I'd come to the family because I'd wanted to belong, because I was looking for a place in the world. I was gradually drawn in until I couldn't see how lost I'd become. No one chooses to be in a cult. No one seeks it out or strives for it. Being in a cult is not something you notice as it is happening. It doesn't matter if you're incredibly self-aware or if you're a teenager who can't see past your own emotions. With a cult, you believe you're on solid ground until you discover, usually much too late, that not only is your footing shaky, but it's already given away. So that's very interesting. I guess, yeah, people don't see it until it's too late, but I don't know. I guess people don't willingly join a cult. Like, people don't say like, oh yeah, this is a cult, like, do you want to join it? They're just like saying like, oh yeah, we believe in this and we're like free thinkers and stuff. So I guess that's how it works. Do any of you guys follow cult? You need to comment down below if you have more expertise in cult life than I do. I took a very long bath and I finally finished this book, and I am giving it 5 stars. It was absolutely fantastic, and I learned so much about Charles Manson that I didn't know anything about. Like, I know I had heard of him, but I never actually like knew what like really happened or what exactly he was or what his cult was, you know. And so I just learned so much, and it was so incredibly good. It is extremely dark though, so oh my gosh, like there's like trigger warnings for everything, but oh my gosh, like this was literally right up my alley. Penny, you did an amazing job recommending this book to me. And if you guys like, if you love cults, if you love historical fiction, anything about like the 60s and the 70s, if you like anything about like drugs and like, I don't know, there's just so many different things, and it is so good. Like, this is definitely a cult book, definitely a dark book, very disturbing, but oh my gosh. So this was my first book that I read for 2021, and I got a 5-star read, like right off the bat with a 5-star book. Can you believe that? So that is awesome. I am super glad. I am actually going to finish writing my little like review page, and I'm going to print out the cover to put here on the actual review page, like with my star rating and stuff, and like how many pages it was. And then I'm going to go to, like, I left a couple of pages open, and this is books of 2021, and then I'm going to paste also the book cover there. So I'm going to do that right now before I close this up. Okay, well, look at that. First book of 2021, and I didn't finish the review yet, but look how cool that looks. So when I'm flipping through my journal, anytime there's a book that I read, it'll have its own page with a picture and the rating and my thoughts while reading it. Love it so much. That's it for this video. Remember that if you want to submit your own book for me to read for the reading rec sent by you, you can find all that information down below. I have a whole video about it, and so I'm really hoping to get some more emails from you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.